polarity for you, though. It could just be one big
Man,
bully.
one
Can we get
day
equal slabs?
Kurdistan,
There we go.
Kur Kurdistan will be the biggest polar in this world. Just wait and see.
I don't
Are
doubt
they
it.
gonna? Who are they gonna bully? Turkey.
The Turks. I have a list of everybody who's
Yeah, and
going to
that's
bully.
with the Middle East. Who do you think is more hated, Turks or the Americans?
The Americans, of course.
Okay.
Are you kidding? Sunnis worship Erdogan.
Oh, I just know a lot of them hate him. Like,
Yeah, reasonable people hate them, but like how many reasonable people? Like what's the percentage? It's a minority,
I
unfortunately.
guess so.
Yeah, yeah. It's if he's an Arab and a Sunni, then it's like 80% he will love Erdogan. 80%, like 75, 70%, something like
I
that.
just know people think. I love the thing where it's like, where people say America's the most hated country, and it's like, nope, Israel.
Yeah.
Mm,
Some will say it's
but
just because they're Jews.
it really depends. It really depends. Like I know like Saudis don't hate Israelis. Saudis actually like
You say
pretty
that.
okay. No, I've met Saudis who like tell me that. But it depends. It depends on the class. It depends on like many
This
variables.
map is fake, but I do love this map.
Is this fake, you think?
Yes, it is fake. It says right here.
It is so fake because Saudi Arabia will be Iran and Iran will be Israel. So India really hate China,
Yeah.
huh? I,
But they
I, I
still
believe
do
that.
deals with them.
I don't think
But you,
Russia hates the US the most. I think Russia hates Ukraine, maybe. Maybe Ukraine. I don't know.
this chair
Do
makes
you
my
hate?
fucking legs itch.
I don't think Americans hate Chinese the most. What the fuck? Fucking hate Mexico the most.
Uh,
That's probably accurate.
And why the fuck would Mexico hate Russia?
Still,
This map is bullshit. This map is bullshit. This map is
I see a
bullshit.
lot of people circulate this map.
This map, like, look at it like for 5 seconds, and you will realize how shitty it is. And also, like, not a lot of people hate Israel. They hate Israel, but not like if it doesn't affect their life directly, you know?
Congo hating Israel, that doesn't track with me. Like,
Uh,
I was like, I'm looking at, I'm thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure the Israelis are actually helping the Congolese militarily. So, I mean,
Okay.
technically, they're helping both sides in the Rwanda-Congo war, but
Dude, I read this a few days ago. Belgium still hasn't officially apologized to Congo.
yep.
I mean, they still
Can you
have
fucking
King
believe that?
Leopold statues.
Dude, they killed like 10 million people. Like it's like worse than the Holocaust, right? Officially worse than the Holocaust. They
Yeah,
10 million people, right?
I call Belgian Congo genocide zero
Oh yeah.
because it's like before the Armenian genocide and the Holocaust. But it's also important in defining that European attitude because people don't know this also because you'll hear communists say this shit about manifest destiny and how manifest destiny is responsible for Israel and the Nazis and all this shit because one time Hitler mentioned manifest destiny even though manifest destiny wasn't even a popular concept inside America. Like the people who believed in manifest destiny were like MAGA today. Like it was still popular, But to say it was a dominant idea that everyone followed in America is just inaccurate. It's like there's people against slavery, there's people against genocide at all points in America. Just because those ideas won out doesn't mean that the other factions weren't fighting every day to end these things. And that's what I think is really interesting about America, is not that it has a history of slavery, but it also has a history of fighting against it. Now, that said, the idea for this whole manifest destiny being the Holocaust, people never talk about how Germany, before Hitler, did concentration camps and genocides in Africa. Hitler literally got it from the previous German regime.
Manifest these.
Yeah, exactly.
When you read about the Holocaust, like the exact history, and you realize that, like even until 1943, the United States, Britain, like rejecting all Jewish migration, like refugees, like basically
Yeah.
like deporting them, like until 1943. And you know when they started like acknowledging the Holocaust and what happened? In like 57 or something.
I'm sure that's a big
Like
reason
just
why we have temporary migrant protected status. I'm sure when you look at the arguments for that coming into place as a policy here, the Holocaust was mentioned by many people.
yeah. People were frustrated because it's people were like being deported and not accepted, and it was like an extreme moral failure in that time, and it remained that for 20 years also. But then Europe and United States realized that, man, we you know what, we can send them to Palestine, and we can say like, because in the 50s, when it was basically when colonialism was defeated, right, like was being rejected and being fought all over the world, right, in Africa and in South Asia. So they thought about like a very smart plan of like, man, we can send Jewish people are already going there. It works. Like they're already going there. We can like acknowledge them in the UN, and like they started this, man. This is the wildest story like in the human history. I think it's like one of the wildest story in the human history. Because you also have like extreme trauma. Basically, you know like how it will work out. And when Zionists also like doing terrorist attacks in the Middle East,
Yeah, and
because
then
they wanted like
literal terrorists
the
end
Middle
up
Eastern
running the
Jews.
government, like Eye Patch Man. What's his name?
Yeah.
Moshe Dayan.
There you go. Eye Patch Man.
Oh, patch, man.
I don't, there's certain, like, obviously I don't, like, love any Israeli leaders, but some are better than others. Like,
Yeah,
I
of
think her
course, yeah.
name was Golda,
Rabbi.
What am I here?
and then I almost said Ben Gavir,
Oh,
Ben Gurion.
You mean Ben Gurion? Ben
Yeah,
Gurion, yeah.
like obviously there's plenty of bad things to say about these people, but in comparison to like
Mhm.
dickheads like Eye Patch Man and Netanyahu.
Yeah. They were also like worse than Netanyahu. I think it's back in 2012 there was like an extreme motherfucker. I forgot his name, but like he was like Netanyahu was a moderate compared to him.
Well,
Basically the same.
Netanyahu is only the way he is now because he has to coalition with the fucking Nazis to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah, and literal Nazis. You know how Netanyahu is basically like directly has been Holocaust revisionist.
Mm-hmm.
and not in a good way, like what I said earlier. What it's like acknowledging the Holocaust and also furthering that how Jewish people were mistreated after the Holocaust for like 15 years until basically Europe and the United States decided to use them, like weaponize them politically and their trauma.
Here's Menachem Begum. He was he oversaw
Begin.
the you know the he you could say that he's one of the better ones because he had the Camp David Accords and all this stuff. And that was another thing. We were talking about why do commies hate the PLO now. And that's one
Yeah,
of the
before the
things I
stream
think is
started.
interesting about the PLO because as far as like forming a Palestinian state, they have done more than Hamas ever could. I mean, even the fact that there's a Palestinian Authority that would probably not exist if it wasn't for the PLO. But hey, somebody who knows more than me will probably tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
That person would be me. Um, no, it's yeah, basically, but like it's very shallow reasons. There's no like new nuance to it. Basically,
I'm just
it's
saying the PLO did more for securing a Palestinian existence than Hamas has done.
it's the, I've noticed that the tankies really hate PLO, like really hate any political progress. But basically, the only method is political progress. Like you can't gain any progress in today's environment with only military, right? It's an outdated. It's not even worth talking about. I don't know how they think. It's I don't know if it's a psyop at this point or just like extreme stupidity.
Anyone? No, no one comment yet.
Yeah, you started the stream very late.
Well, you know, I pretty much scheduled it right when James got here.
Yeah, Jack was streaming yesterday, and it was really going very good actually.
Yeah, I mean, I told him that I was going to be busy, so. Is he doing just news?
Yeah, news and like the different variety of videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a lot easier when all the chats show up for you. I can't see half of them, so I don't know why it shows up for him and not me. But it's difficult to interact with chat when you have to click away from what you're looking at to see who is talking and where.
Man, it's fucking wild. It's so fucking wild. It's like official dictatorship now. It's in the United States. It's slowly not official, but it's basically like it's one like how many months are they like going to directly confess? Yeah, it's dictatorship time now. And before the stream, I told John, do you think it's like people will understand in a month or two how fucked they are? And he said they don't care. Like Trump's base don't care. And it's basically the same thing with Hitler, right? Because even after situation got really desperate in Germany, people stayed loyal, right? It's not that extreme. It's not that extreme, but it's people when you hear people talk about Trump, they say that they feel hurt. Like this is the first time they feel hurt by a politician since like I don't know how much time, and it's been very dry for people in the United States with like liberals and technocrats and all of that stuff.
I'm just looking at what Jack covered real quick.
James, I've been reading this book lately. You should really read it.
Interesting.
It's like one of the best books to understand Putin. It has like very good information inside it. It's like it basically talks about the whole structure of Russia and how he came into power and like basically his hooligans and people like under him and how he enforces his power and stuff like that.
He said he was going to do more reading and research stuff, which it looks like what he was doing for a lot of this.
Yeah, he likes researching.
Well, I told him, well, he had the idea, and I encouraged him to do it because it would make him more motivated to sit down and actually be at his desk reading and researching the stuff. The thing is with me is I don't have very good reading. Like I literally that's where my learning disability is in reading. So like if I try to read, I stumble over stuff. So I've never been a very good reader for presentation.
Yeah, you just like listen. Audiobooks are the
Well, I'm
hype
talking
now.
about when I'm presenting, like prompter stuff. Like I'm not good at reading prompters and stuff like that. I stumble over
Yeah.
or reading
Man,
articles for
I
stream and stuff. So
for me it's reading is I don't know, it's like I absorb the information better if I read. It's like if I listen to it, I don't get it as good. Okay, basically, what segment do you want to start with? And like what
well,
topic? We have like basically three topics. Do you want to talk about South Africa?
I've never met a nice South African.
African.
I don't think I don't know when this happened, but the South the Prime Minister in South Africa called Elon Musk's father and uh, and asked him like, can you please connect us to Elon Musk?
His
And
father hates him.
yeah, and this makes it this makes it funnier, right?
But I think they
So
did.
basically,
I think they did talk to him
yeah,
directly, though. I remember covering it.
I don't know if they talked to him directly or like through his father, but I think they talked to him through his father first, maybe directly later, and basically, uh, Elon is weaponizing his position, and he told like Trump to do some stuff, and Trump cut the aid to Africa
But
because
yeah,
of the policy,
there's been a
because
lot of drama in South Africa lately, so that's why I've been covering it so much.
yeah, and I don't want to forget the reason why South Africa wanted to talk with Musk is because of the policy they wanted to implement, which is basically finally retrieving 90% of their land back from the white minority after 30 years of Mandela winning in the elections. Like and it still hasn't happened, right, James? Let's
Yeah.
like they haven't implemented that policy. Like, what the fuck are you waiting for? And white people are fucking man. This feels like it's 1900s classical colonialism.
Don't you know the whites are being persecuted?
Yeah, it's fucking insane, man. They
That's
still
what
have
Americans
like
tell me.
92% or 90% of the lands.
Yep,
And
including the best farming country.
Hey,
yeah,
you all want to see a Kurdish brain rot post? I know
yeah,
Alan
sure.
loves these.
Was it me? Did I post something? Wow.
No, no.
A good start to 3D. Okay.
So now that you've seen it, let me pull it up for everyone else. So it says free Uyghurs, and they're making gray love symbols. So
Christ.
that might be part of it. But then this guy, good start to free the Uyghurs who'd be leaving occupied Kurdish land in Syria and returning to their homeland, Uyghurstan. Yeah, I'm sure they can just do that. That's, they're here occupying your land by choice.
Man, I love it.
Oh,
The you know this guy, man. This guy who's like a bold guy, and he goes to poor countries, dangerous countries, bold
bald and
and
bankrupt.
yeah, and yeah, and man, what a piece of shit. He went to China and he basically
Yeah.
justified everything happening to the Uyghurs by Chinese
Mm-hmm.
people.
That's him.
And he said, like what can you do? Like, if people are savages, you have to treat them like savages. What a fucking piece of shit.
He also did a bunch of pro-Talib stuff. He's a big Russian dick sucker.
Yeah.
Gives Putin the Gluck Gluck 9000.
Not all bald people are like that.
Okay, here's something I wanted to talk about regarding Syria.
Yeah.
Hang on. I saw this today, and I was like, "Huh." I didn't fact check it, but I bookmarked it for us to talk about it on the show.
Hmm. Yeah.
They're really all Turks.
They're not Turks, but they what does it like? They have the nationality or something?
I don't know. It's just what this Rojava news network
Oh,
posted.
yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah,
yeah.
it's
Most of those guys aren't Turks at all, right? They're pretty much all Syrians.
no. I mean, I fucking hate when Kurdish people do that. It makes me feel embarrassed, to be honest.
Honestly, I feel like um, as long as they're not like saying they're sucking people's blood like American politicians are right now.
Okay, so
They used to say that, actually.
this image is actually cropped, which is funny because in this same post here, you look here, it says this source is actually Turkish state media outlet Clash Report, and if you go uncropped, down in the bottom there, Clash Report's watermarks and branding.
Oh no, Jesus Christ!
Dude, you know, sometimes I think that some Kurdish news outlets are basically a psyop working for the Turkish government.
So even right
Oh,
here it says
It's
these government members hold Turkish citizenship. Does not mean they are born Turkish or of Turkish descent.
well, there's a war thing,
Oh,
so I think that probably explains a lot of that.
They never gave
yeah.
it to my man Jelani though. That's so rude.
You tagged me also in a post on Twitter and like the looting of the southern Syrian base.
Which time?
Like
Did I?
looting planes.
Oh, yeah. I have that bookmarked as well. Where did I bookmark that? Or did I not?
I can send it to you.
Yes. I remember it, yes. Did I tag you in it? I think it was just live map, so that's probably why I didn't save it. Because I was just like, I'm going to pull up live map for most of the show anyways. Oh, yes. I've tried to get this person on too.
Abdullah?
Huh?
Ah, Rogina, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Regina Feller, yeah.
Yeah. I've tried to get her on because she's so sassy. I think she would be great for content.
She's Roshalat, she's Irani Kurd, huh?
Yeah.
I've dated an Iranian Kurd back in the day.
Yeah. You think they're the most spicy variant?
Um, no, I think it's stupid to make these generalizations. But I was thinking like which Kurd I've dated was the spiciest, and I think it's Rojava was the spiciest. Dude, one time I went to like the girl I'm dating house, and you have to sneak
Only
these
once?
things because it's basically it's the Middle East, right? And she told me that her father was watching the soccer match, and I went to her house, and her father came early because his team was losing, and I hid in the closet for 3 hours.
I don't even see an alert
And
for that looting on live map. When did that shit happen? Maybe did they take it off? Or was that fake? Is this a fake picture? When
it
is
was
this from?
fake. That was the whole story, that it was fake.
So somebody took a fake live war map picture. It was never on war map?
Where is the picture?
Well, it's just this on war map.
Yeah, there's no picture. There's nothing. Like it's literally just.
Yeah, that's why I
shitposting.
went to war map to try and find the source. Because it's not posted in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, found it.
Oh, okay.
This guy's a pretty good source.
خطير، وكان هذا المطار من الدفاعات الجوية التي يحسب حسابها للأسف لم تستخدم للدفاع عن هذا الوطن بالشكل الصحيح، بل كانت لقتل السوريين. نأسف لهذا الموضوع، ولم تصان هذه الثورة وممتلكات هذه البلد بالشكل الصحيح. مخاطرها كبيرة على المناطق المجاورة لهذا المطار. صار في تفجيرات كثير قوية نتيجة العابثين بهذه الأسلحة، مخاوفها وأضرارها كبيرة. يجب أن يكون هناك يد لتأخذ هذه الأسلحة وتنقلها من هنا والألغام الموجودة بجانب الطرقان من شرق المطار وغرب المطار، وصارت أحداث واستشهد ناس كثر. نأمل بأن يأتي الجهات المعنية والمختصة بتفكيك الألغام، وهذه الممتلكات الموجودة ملك الشعب يجب أن يستفاد منها. لا نريد أن يكون هنالك مخاطر لهذه القرى. قصفت إسرائيل وكان ضرر كبير وراح ضحيتها كثير من الناس.
Could you go back
ما
a second?
نأمله
To the Israel part?
Before that, are those bombs just lying on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, they fell off the
Yeah.
plane.
Okay.
I mean, that's the issue.
That's
He's
the whole
like,
problem, man.
We had to send people to pick this shit up. Doesn't look like looting to me.
It doesn't look like looting. Who will fucking loot this shit? Like
Well, it
people
says here-
looting like missiles and
I want to see the... So,
موجودة ملك الشعب يجب أن يستفاد منها. لا نريد أن يكون هنالك مخاطر لهذه القرى. قصفت إسرائيل وكان ضرر كبير وراح ضحيتها كثير من الناس. ما نأمله أن يأتي معنيون لتفكيك هذه العبوات ونقل هذه المستودعات الموجودة، والله يعطيكم العافية.
our leader forever. You are our son, our symbol.
Jesus.
Man, it's so wild. You can now piss on those pictures. It's very liberating. Man, I remember this military base.
So the
This
pissing
used
on
to be
pictures.
like
One of
a-
the things I love seeing is when North Korean dissidents attack embassies in other countries. They always, because they like mandate that the pictures need to be in every room in Korea. Well, every like public room, you know, like in classrooms and stuff. So you'll see them. The first thing they do, and when they loot the embassy and attack the embassies, they'll take those pictures and they'll just smash them on the ground because they know it's gonna just piss off the regime.
Yeah. Man, it's I think it's the only country that's wilder than Syria, North Korea. It's the only country.
So
you
the
don't-
blast
you can't
yesterday
even,
was
like-
caused by looters.
What about Eritrea?
I mean, Eritrea is not
Well,
really
it's-
crazy as much as it is restrictive.
It's
You know,
decent
child
contender.
slavery is that no journalist. But like, you know, I think Cuba is restrictive but not crazy. Eritrea is both crazy and restrictive.
Yeah, and there's also like different forms, right? Like for example, like before this the civil war in Syria, you had like social freedoms. Like you can date, you can like drink alcohol, you can do all of that stuff, right? It was
Hello,
secular,
first-time
but you
chatter.
but you didn't have political freedom. So basically, it's like Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, you don't have no social freedom or political freedom. You don't have both types of freedom, and it feels suffocating. It feels really suffocating. Like if at least in Syria you could like date and fuck and do whatever you want, drink alcohol, smoke weed even. But in Saudi Arabia, like you don't have anything. You don't have nothing. So, but you have like more luxury and that's complicated. And also Saudis
Yeah,
have money
wealth.
to like travel outside also, right?
Yeah, economic freedom. Well, you know what's crazy? You know, you always hear these people talking about APAC and stuff. But like, when are they talking about the Saudi Investment Fund? Which is very impactful. They spend a lot of money on things, you know, like
Yeah,
capitalizing on the UFC because of Muslim fighters being at the top of the cards. Like the Saudis, a lot. I mean, everyone in the Arab world's dumping money into there because Muslims are at the top of the cards.
yeah,
Khabib is good for
yeah.
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia is very, very strong, man. Nobody knows. Like nobody even knows that they committed those like massacres and ethnic cleansing in their minorities regions, right? And Khubar and like nobody knows. Everybody knows about Israel, but nobody knows about Saudi Arabia.
How many Bedouins were killed and displaced for a wall city that was never built?
Oh yeah. How many Bedouins did that guy kill like with his video on the topic?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Johnny Harris, Bedouin destroyer.
He at least like killed 3 Bedouins, right? You can.
Somewhere in the ballpark.
Oh
It says,
man.
according to local sources, unidentified group has placed large quantity of ammunition inside the planes, where the cabinets of the aircraft are set on fire and blown up to retrieve aluminum residues, creating a state of terror among residents who express concerns about the dire consequences that these explosions could follow.
Honestly, that's kind of cool.
That's fucking. I've never heard of something like that. Like taking the copper out of the bombs, I was like, that's not too
Yeah.
crazy. But aluminum residue?
Yeah. So this is
Improvise,
World War
adapt,
II.
overcome.
So when we say, how the fuck do you loot a warplane? That's how.
Just take it home. So,
I mean, that's some people have been. Sweden 24 have
Yeah.
confirmed communications from Sweden with military operations, the Ministry of Defense, and the interim government, aiming to find a rapid mechanism dealing with the widespread military waste in Sweden. What does this have to do with anything?
Oh, might be a mistranslation. I don't think Sweden has a military.
Sweden. Sweden is southern Syria.
That's not. Yeah, that's right. That sounds right.
So Sweden is talking to
Sweden.
Saudi
Sweden.
Arabia about another place that has waste. You think?
Special
it's a
sources
mistranslation?
for I think it's some special sources
probably
for
made, like-
Sueda 24. Confirmed communications from Sueda with the Military Operations Directorate.
Yeah. Maybe probably like made the ChatGPT like
It's
this.
translated.
Yeah,
Sueda 24.
Sweden is the it's like basically where the Druze are from, like the minority, the Druze are from Sweden. It's the biggest.
Dude, even back in
the-
January 8th, another attempt to loot war remnants. This is from January.
Yeah.
So is this the article that he pulled the source from?
Mhm.
It'd be nice to source whatever article he is here. Like it sources to his Twitter, but then what?
This is very close to Israel.
Huh, that's
Explain this post.
Sweden is very close to Israel.
Actually, isn't it like across from Golan?
No, it's you could check the map, but
I'm going to the
I think
map.
Sweden is south, and Golan is like southeast, like a little above. Right? Yeah, you can
Oh,
see it.
Connectors in the middle.
Like you.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I remember in 2014 when Sweden wasn't participating in the civil war, right? They participated only like in the last 2 years of the civil war, and I remember the government not being able to do anything because Israel was waiting for Bashar al-Assad to attack Sweden. Because if he attacked Sweden back then, they would have taken Sweden, and basically it was the only reason he couldn't do anything against Sweden because it's like basically filled with Druze people, right? It's like the region of Druze people, and Druze people is a minority in Israel. It's a big minority, and they also like kind of like socially have a bigger standing than Arabs, right? Because they're not Muslims, so they're more respected, have like more social freedoms and more weight in Israel circles. So the Israel would have taken Sweden, and it would have been like a perfect excuse, you know?
So this is interesting here. It says Syrian central bank says a shipment of local currency has arrived from Russia, where it has been printed for years. This is a sign of confidence building after Shara and Putin had a phone called. The amount of Syrian pounds shipped is unclear. Officials had already been said some had already been printed and awaited shipment when Assad fell. So they aren't. It's not evidence that they're printing Syrian money again, but
Just
likely
continuing to do it.
some that they already had in stock. But remember, I have talked about many times those Russian assets that are built up in, I want to say Tartarus every time. but yeah, so they're at port there in Taurus. Is that how you pronounce it?
Tartus.
Tartus.
Tartus. Tartarus.
No, no, it's Tartus. Tartus.
Like I said, like I said earlier, I can't read well. So, yeah,
No,
so
it's
like
the
I know
American
the
pronunciation.
information, but my ability to relay it because I can't read things.
Sweden 24. Man, I think Ahmed al-Shara is playing it very smooth actually with Russia and the United
I
States.
mean, they have those Russian assets that Russia will want to get out. So they have
Yeah,
leverage here.
and he's officially like stated that he's against Trump and like not what do you call it, like ethnically cleansing Gaza into like Jordan and Egypt,
Of
and he
course he
said
is.
his plan will not work. Yeah, but it's like the first time like he got like said something negative against like Trump in Israel publicly, right?
I mean, the picture I was using is the background before.
No, I think he's probably happy like with the United States losing weight also like internationally.
Yes, Jelani, Allah willing, we will reach not only Damascus, Jerusalem awaits us as well. He's back there. You just can't see him.
Yeah. Do you
None
think
of these, none of these show him.
do you think like Iran is celebrating right now? They're celebrating like Trump's presidency?
Yeah.
That's a hard question to answer for me.
Probably dancing in the streets right now.
Oh, the people?
No,
Well, the
the
RGC.
revolutionary vanguard.
Yeah, since I was about to say, the people maybe because he did kill Soleimani, but this would be short-sighted because they don't, because Trump is apparently doing a lot better with Iran than Biden did. But I don't know if I believe that.
What do you mean he's like doing better with Iran?
More dialogue is open, and Iran is kind of like saying no, it's not. You know, it's kind of a he said, she said type thing. Like
What the
basically
fuck?
Trump is like, yeah, we're gonna bring back the nuclear deal.
Dude, what the fuck? He's contradicting everything he wanted to do.
I know, right?
What the fuck? Are you serious? Like he wants to
It's not
bring the
exactly quite that. I'm overgeneralizing to
yes.
make the underlying point, because the underlying point is that, but it's not exactly that at the same time. But he is working towards like better relations with Iran and stuff, and they're trying really hard to get like diplomatic dealings with Iran.
Dude, nothing he says matters. Nothing he says matters. Like he's saying something and directly doing the opposite.
Well, I have a theory about it. So, because Trump was still in the picture and could likely win an opposition victory and also would have influence among his party, if I was Iran, why would I want to make an effort to make a deal after we made a deal with Obama and Trump threw it out the window? If you're dealing with Trump directly, then you know it, like you have more security. So you know what I'm saying? Because if it's anyone but him, the deal will be destroyed. So there's
Oh
no
yeah,
point
that
in
makes
making
sense
a
actually.
deal. So I could see
Dude, that's
that
the
type of
art of the deal, right?
philosophy
It's
dominating, but this is just a theory. And we don't even know if Trump is actually being able to push diplomacy with Iran. We really won't know for quite some time, but there is reporting saying that it's happening, but I think it's really only coming from the American side of things. I don't think Iran is
Okay.
showing it as
I've I've
well.
read I've read I've read what Iran said like from Middle Eastern sources,
Actually,
and Khomeini said that he literally said you cannot make any deals with this devilish government.
yeah.
Yeah, James,
Don't they
you read it, right?
always? Right before making deals with the government?
Yeah,
Demonic.
yeah.
He used to.
It's like how we deal with the Houthis, right? The Houthis always call us the Great Satan, but they like to work with us. The Iranians like to call us the Great Satan too. They still like to work with us when we're being like normal, like not when Trump's doing
Yeah.
batshit stuff. Uh,
I don't remember
Man,
exactly what it was, but somebody said something about Iran and deals with America, and I go, yeah. Why do you think they don't care when we kill their IRGC assets in Iraq?
man, this is so fucking wild. Holy shit. Oh my God. Like even Saudi Arabia is losing trust right now in the United States. You know, I told you before the stream. I told you like Saudis is like massively losing trust in the United States, and Saudi Arabia is, I think, basically it's the most dependent country in the world on the United States, right? Basically their whole military and economical standing like is very very dependent on the United States, and even they are losing face, like losing trust in the United States right now,
Well,
making fun of Trump
how
directly.
much are they currently buying from Jordan?
What, gas, you mean?
No weapons. That's Jordan's big role in the Middle East, is facilitating. Like they basically sell security. Like, have you seen the fucking King's personal training grounds where they train contractors from companies all over the world?
Oh, you mean training? Man, what
But
the
they
fuck? I
also
was like,
sell weapons through Jordan. So Jordan's arms expo is like the biggest arms expo. So everyone comes in because you can deal with every country. Saudi Arabia dealing with the United States locks in with the United States, but they can still buy Chinese shit from Jordan. They can still buy Russian shit from Jordan.
Okay.
They can
okay.
also still buy
also
American
understand.
shit from Jordan, even though they would probably get the better deal buying direct because they're Saudi Arabia. They're the number one purchaser of American arms. So, but like Egypt is a top 10 arms buyer for America as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi Arabia buys some stuff from China very soon. Like, but I haven't seen it. Like, it hasn't manifested.
So, I don't know if there's been a new one of these from Cato. I thought this was Eric Prince down here, but I guess it's just somebody who looks a lot like him.
Also, like Chinese weapons will be massive downgrade, I think.
And, historically, yes. In recent years, they've been improving. Even though, yeah, gradually improving.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's. I don't
But
know,
I don't
man.
think they've made one of these since the Ukraine war hit. But it's funny because it's basically the Cato Institute being like, "Hey, don't sell arms to Saudi Arabia." Trying to see if there's a actual thing that actually lists them in order, but it's really just the best we can say is this one, which Saudi Arabia is clearly number one.
Man, I always had the opinion that Tulsi Gabbard is the most dangerous nominee, like
Oh, here we
Trumpian
go.
nominee.
Top 10 arms
But
buyer.
somebody told me that it's what 100% RFK because of the flu.
I
And
mean, we got
bird flu.
Ebola breaking out now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like there's a very like strong competition between Tulsi and RFK.
So
Very, very competitive, both of them. I don't know. So you will have to see. You have to wait.
I'm just seeing if
I'm going to start work at an agency very soon. It's
Which agency?
like British. I can't say. I can't say it's until it
So it's
starts.
one of the big ones.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of the big ones. It's basically like
Nice.
Middle East analysis and stuff like that. Oh, he left.
it's just, sometimes I copy links thinking I'm on the share page and I'm on the fucking host page. Motherfucker.
It happens in best
Are you
families.
serious? On my other screen, I can see the fucking graph and it's not locking me saying you need an account. What is this shit? How come on the one screen, like on my personal account, just fine, I can see it. But on my work account, it's telling me I need a fucking account.
Man, this fucking bullshit is going on since the 50s.
I mean, nothing compared to when the Iraq War starts.
Which one?
Well, 2000 is when it really kicks up as arms sales.
Yeah.
And this is just, this is just Jordan buying from the United States. They're not like a top 10 arms buyer. But I was trying to find
So
different
sad.
statistics on Jordan and how much
the
arms they
nicest
sell.
people, the nicest people in the Middle East are from Baghdad. They're usually the nicest people. Like they're extremely well educated, nice, well mannered.
Not Erbil or
No, the Arab people are fucking dumb as a rock, man. Sulaimaniya is the smartest Kurdish city in northern Iraq. Sulaimaniya is Sulaimaniya, you say it in Kurdish, but it's Sulaimaniya is like the intellectual city, right? The intellectual hub. Like it's basically the difference between Texas and California, like where you can say like social, like culturally.
makes sense.
Or like
No, it's
Dallas and Austin.
there's a Kurdish joke, uh, like a Sulaimaniya joke about Arabic people, Hawler, and it's back in the war because they had the war between Sulaimaniya and Erbil, like it's like Kurdish civil war between Yakiti and the party, and there was like weapons were banned from entering Hawler, and the Sulaimaniya tank was like going into Erbil, and and on the checkpoint, the Hawleri soldiers ask the Sulaimaniya tank, like the soldier, like, do you have any weapons with you? And Sulaimani soldier says, no, it's just this tank, and he says, okay, just like go go. It's, man, you know, it's in 2000, and this joke like literally happened. Like I literally did this joke. You know, in 2014, I was working with the UN, and we were working with the UN, and we were like basically like making data for the UN Council, like going to Syrian refugees camps, and because if you're Kurdish and you go to Rojava, you're free, right? They give you like a card and you're free to go to work in Rojava. But if you're an Arab, then you have to stay in the refugee camp, which is basically racist against Arabs. But this is how it works, right? Like it's kind of solidarity between Kurdish Rojava and and uh, and like KRG. Uh, and what I forgot my papers and at home because we went to the camp outside of the city
Where
and
are your
we came back
papers?
and I forgot my papers, right? And what we did is like when we came back, I switched place with the taxi driver. So I was driving the car, and the taxi driver was like next to me, and they
Oh,
asked him for the papers, and they didn't ask me because I was driver, and I did that for like two checkpoints, and they like just like cruising inside the city.
oh, that's so.
Oh my God, man.
That's clever.
Man, it's
Nobody takes-
and I knew about the joke, like the tank joke, and I was like, man, this like literally happened. Like this, and basically, you like this is evidence, right? It's like they're fucking stupid as, but you cannot blame them for being stupid. You cannot blame them. Like Saddam Hussein fucking brutalized them, like with chemical weapons and stuff like that. When basically you destroy schools for decades and decades and education, they don't have any education. You have basically just war, right? War. Then you're like fucking destroying a population's like intellectual capacity to like understand. Like there's a fucking fundamental difference between Kurdish from Rojava and Kurdish from northern Iraq. Like Rojavan Kurds are, I I will argue that they're basically the most sophisticated and intellectual group in the whole Middle East. Like in the whole Middle East, there is no other group.
Yeah,
This like
probably, yeah.
yeah, and it's night and day. Like the you can compare like Kurdish northern Iraqis with like basically Arabs from whatever, you know. It's like I'm sorry to say it, but if it's the truth. It's basically the truth.
I mean, that sounds right. These are, it takes a certain intellectual capacity to realize, hey, you could be have a mixture of quasi-socialist policies that aren't like communism and still have a standard free market, right? It takes thinking. You can't. People always tend to be pigeonholed into, hey, we should be essentially wildly libertarian or state controlled everything. So I guess
It influences a lot of the politics there too,
Yeah.
because it's very dictated by loyalty instead of actually engagement. So while they have a democracy, it's like a managed democracy. Like you're only gonna vote basically for like people that like there's a history behind it. Like your grandfather fought with this family for whatever they were fighting for, so you stay with them, type of thing.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I really I like the Kurdish government and the parties and the Kurdish region because believe me, like it was family was the like tribalism was the only way to manage war for decades, right? Because you cannot trust anybody in these circumstances where everybody is like killing each other and there's no food and there's remember like when did the UN implemented like no fly zone? It
oh,
was very late.
Basically
after that,
during the first Gulf invasion,
yeah,
in
and then
91.
91 to like 2003.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Which
It
is funny
started in the
because
60s.
when it comes to invading Iraq, like the United States didn't need to do all the lying about chemical weapons at the UN to try and get UN justification because they already had forces in Iraq. They didn't need any special thing to like start doing military operations because they were already operating the no-fly zone. And even before they do the official invasion of Iraq, the first ground forces that go against the Kurdish Al Qaeda fight. It's the first documented fight where we're assisting the Peshmerga, and it's called Operation Viking Hammer. And allegedly, they destroy a sarin facility in this operation. I've talked about this many times, but what's interesting is the American units who were supposed to be giving mortar cover to the Peshmerga couldn't do it because the Peshmerga were running up the mountains so fast that they couldn't place the mortars out in front of the guys before they had to reposition.
Yeah.
So even before the
Basically,
official invasion happens, allegedly a chemical weapon facility was taken out.
yeah, and US ran cover for Saddam Hussein because he was like the only guy who will go to war against Iran, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to get Jack to write this article on this, but he did a lot of research and just never wrote the article.
Man, it's the United States like it's fucked so many people. Like man, like how many Iraqis died? Like even before the Iraqi invasion,
Mm-hmm.
like 4 million. Like with the like how when Iraq invaded Kuwait and US like cut like made the like
Oh, yeah,
cut
the
any
sanctions.
medications and food and yeah sanctions and I think 3 million Iraqi babies died.
Oh,
Well,
that's actually uh, the, so apparently that was the work of American demographers, right? Who estimated. I, there's a separate article. I think I can't believe I'm not sure which medical journal published it, but they were making estimates based on rooted in the amount of medication going in, and they projected that 3 million people who would have been born weren't, but or they died. But
Black Book of Communism shit.
Both yeah.
yeah, as it turns out, Iraq's demographers had no fucking idea what they were talking about, right? Uh, there were problems, right? There were various bad health outcomes from not having access to water treatment facilities and medical.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this a lot. Cholera outbreaks.
Yeah,
in Iraq
but
even when when Al Qaeda does chemical attacks, the first thing the United States does was restrict chlorine, immediate cholera outbreak. So cholera
yeah,
is like just waiting underneath the surface for decades in Iraq, and like any type of like deterrent of clean water, you'll have immediate cholera outbreaks.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, there were deaths in the tens of thousands, but there weren't millions of deaths necessary. Actually, there just weren't millions of deaths per Iraq's own demographers. The Iraqi government or Saddam's government saw the reports from these reputable American firms or reputable American journalists estimating the potential deaths toll from sanctions, and they thought to themselves, "Oh, wow, that has a veneer of credibility to it because it's like a American Journal of Medicine or something like that."
Yeah.
And
Okay.
they ran with it. So it was
I have
bad.
to. I
It
have
was
to. I have to check the numbers then. If it's like accuracy, then I have to like look at the research then.
One of the things I also talk
Um,
about, I call it Saddam's ghost. So, um, you'll hear this a lot about birth defects in Fallujah.
yeah.
At the height of the American involvement in Iraq, guess where the most birth defects were? It wasn't Fallujah.
as uh, Kurdistan and southern Iraq
Yeah, where
because of all
Saddam
the
ended
chemical
up dropping
weapons.
chemical weapons had the most birth defects in Iraq by far. But the
Yeah.
issue is, it's malnutrition, right? So Fallujah had major logistical issues. Malnutrition led to birth defects. People said it's like depleted uranium and all this shit. That's one of the conspiracies, right? And I call it Saddam's ghost, talking about the depleted uranium because people bring it up all the time. But Kosovo had more depleted uranium used on it, and there's none of the effects. We have a control like active because of that, and also
Yeah.
then
Uranium is chill,
and if
man.
you look at the interviews with hospital staff, they'll literally be in these conspiracy documentaries and videos where it will say that the Fallujah birth defect stuff. They interview doctors, and every doctor is talking about how they don't have the supplies. And that's the same reason why cholera outbreaks in Fallujah so quick, is because of logistical issues. I guess it's like on the other side of the river or something. So
Yeah. You know when WikiLeaks started and
mm-hmm.
they leaked like the operation like killing journalists, Iraqi journalists and like activists and stuff like that. Man, that was like a turning point. Like for me, it's like holy shit, man. Fucking killing the good guys, like officially, like the good Iraqis, like
It's fucked up. That is just objectively true. It's like it's it just kind of sucks, man. It's like there's a ridiculous amount of heinous shit, but because there's a bunch of sort of flooding the zone with shit, the actual heinous shit gets uh, sidelined in lieu of the uh, hyped up, not exactly real heinous shit, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Cat's
Like
yelling at us
the
because our
simple
title
shit.
is "What's Happening with Hamas," and
oh
we
yeah,
haven't talked about Hamas.
we should,
Oh, Hamas. Yeah, okay. I was watching some like watching reading some like Middle Eastern sources about Hamas, like what's their leadership are saying right now, like officially saying, and Hamas officially doesn't want any political responsibility inside of Gaza. They don't want any leadership, you can say, for Gaza. They only they only are willing and want to be the official military force in Gaza, but they don't want any political responsibility, which is it's kind of very confusing. They just said that and they didn't elaborate. But do you think do you think will they be open to be led by PLO, or like what do they mean? Like did just be the military force? Like are they going to be influenced by the political force that will take the leadership? Doesn't make any
Um,
sense.
they probably expect Barghouti to take control. So it would be it's a very clever move on Hamas's part, right? Because politically they are radioactive, but they're also the only guys with guns. So uh, if it's not them in charge, right, there's still a potential political solution, and they can still keep their guns. They can overthrow whichever government they want to, right, in case the new government tries to crack down on them. Uh,
Yeah, that's exactly what they said. They said yes, they said don't forget that if there was a vote right now in Gaza, most of the people will vote for us.
Doubt.
And in knowing that we don't want political responsibility. So basically saying that we have the power, but you're at the front now. And PLO have to take them on the offer, right?
I think the PLO has they've rejected it, right? Because they don't want Hamas anywhere near it. Because the PLO knows that Hamas can sort of crush them whenever they want to, right? The PLO is just very not great at the whole uh, governance and being the sole user of force thing.
Yeah. That's funny because the PLO said like a few months ago, said that they're willing and ready to take the helm in Gaza, but now they're like rejecting the
Yep,
deal.
they don't want anything to do with Hamas being in power, which is
That means
fair
that
enough.
PLO are a bunch of idiots because they should have known that this will happen.
Yeah,
Holy fuck, man! Like fucking bunch of kids. The PLO are very useless. I acknowledge that. It's like also said that it's. I think it's the only viable option. To be honest, it's you can't take Hamas seriously. But PLO's also been killing like West Bank lately. Like they've been like arresting people, suppressing demonstrations, and killing people. It's um, it's brutal. But they also like it's very complicated that people are frustrated, right? But what else can you do? Like what you can't allow people to do whatever the fuck they want, right? Because people will like do something crazy. Like they want to attack settlers and Israelis, and that's a very dangerous thing to do. Like especially right now.
it needs to be like it, there needs to be a straddled line where or a not straddled line. It's a genuinely autonomous Palestinian Authority where Israel isn't sort of interfering with them and conducting raids whenever it wants to, while the Palestinian Authority has the bandwidth to conduct its own policing operations. Uh, because if it
Yeah.
just looks like the Palestinian Authority is acting as an arm of the Israeli government, no one's going to support it.
Yeah, man. It's fucked up. The Israelis are not letting them breathe. You know, it's basically like flowing according to their own will. They need Yepeki at this point. You know, it's like the only thing that will fix everything. You know, Yepeki is like very when like the people like started demonstrating against the government, Yepeki like took the helm from the Syrian government, right? And they said, "Fuck everything. Fuck everything. We don't have to like deal with this shit." And people like didn't care. It's like okay, now it's our playground,
It's
and they were very restricted.
it's the classic problem. Sometimes autonomy is useful. I it's it's like if the government's a bag of dicks, then you really just kind of have to give autonomy to a geographic locale, because otherwise it's better than having a split where there's a conflict or just not. Sorry, I'm babbling a bit.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, man,
So
it's
you were
it's
saying
better than
like,
erratic.
is it? Do you think that basically the political leadership of Hamas is going to set up in Syria, similar to how the PLO set up in Lebanon?
Oh, aren't they
No.
already setting up in? Not like setting up camp, right? Hamas is based the operationally, institutionally, militarily based in Egypt, right? So they have no need to go anywhere else. The Egyptians aren't going to kick them out because Egypt's a big country and I don't give a flying fuck about what Israel or the
Your
U.S.
mic keeps going like low to
Oh shit!
high,
Okay.
so make sure it's the correct distance from your face.
So, uh, okay. Hamas is politically, militarily, operationally, logistically based in Egypt, right? The Egyptians aren't going to kick them out because they view Israel as an interminable threat, right? It's not worth going to war yet unless there's like a mass expulsion event. But as it stands, they're just going to keep doing the same status quo thing that they're doing now of supporting Hamas and just being not like being a patriot. But there's like Hamas does in Lebanon, for example. They're going to be setting up not quite affiliates, right? Affiliates is sort of like an Al Qaeda thing, more of satellite networks, satellite hubs in Iraq, or not Iraq, in Syria, in southern Syria. It's going to be like a
Yeah.
hub and spoke model of
Um,
militants.
Logistically, it's impossible right now, right? Because they can only do it in Egypt, but they cannot do it in Syria because of logistical reasons first. But the most important reason is Saudi Arabia fucking hates Hamas,
Yeah.
and and they're like the number one Arabic supporter of the new government in Syria. Like it's like on equal terms with Turkey and like they're very important ally, and Syrian government want to please them, so that will never happen. Like it's a kind of a deal breaker for Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia actually wants to normalize the relationship with Israel. They want the weapons, they want the stuff.
Saudi Arabia seems like an interesting case to me, right? Because the Saudis seem more indifferent to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict than interested. They
Yeah.
would prefer working with Israel, right? Because peace is good for business, just regardless of whatever happens. It doesn't matter who
Yeah.
wins or who loses, as long as there's peace. You can just keep selling oil. Nobody's going to be shooting at your shit. You could just go back to chilling in your palaces and mega cities.
Dude, if it was up to the PLO, no, not PLO, sorry, like Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia, if it was up to like the king and crown prince, he will fucking he himself will fucking like exterminate all Palestinians if it was up to him. If was
Yeah.
there was no consequences from the Saudis, right? Because Saudis are Muslims and Arabs, and they feel like the solidarity, and that's the only thing that's making him like hesitant to make this deal right now.
Yep. They are ruthless, but they're also like lazy.
Yeah, man.
so, what do we think of? So Trump, I can see him just start getting really upset with how peace talks won't happen when he tries to force them through. and start just saying that Egypt is the one who finances Hamas and being really open and making that point central. And so here's the thing is like one of the reasons why things can function so smoothly with geopolitics is because Americans are fucking stupid and they don't actually know what their government does, and they just like assume some pop history like thing about the Iraq war and oil and all that stuff, right? So Trump has the ability to make people care about these things very
Yeah.
quickly. I mean, look at did y'all see um Vice President idiot over there in Munich and the things he said?
Yeah.
So that's going really wild with the mega subcultures right now. They suddenly know what Europe is. And I fucking watched Asmongold reacting to it, and like these obvious narratives, about like he mentioned the guy who burned the Quran, literally a Russian agent,
What?
and he's mentioning that at the Munich Peace Conference and how Europe is undemocratic even though they have higher freedom scores than the US. Like mentioning these very niche cases, like somebody praying near an abortion clinic in Germany, and that being something that is like arrestable now, right? And it's like, yeah, I'm sure they were just praying. I'm sure it wasn't a whole scene that was being made, and to specifically go out there and get arrested as a political point. Like, that's the whole point of doing that type of shit, right? But Asmongold is like, whoa, is Europe really like this? I can't believe you people live like this. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. And he even says,
Yep.
he even goes at one point, he's like, these are extraordinary claims. And I always say, if you have extraordinary claims, you need extraordinary evidence. And I'm just yelling, then fucking Google it! Just fucking Google it, man! And his extraordinary evidence was reading his own chat and hearing fucking the weird Euros who watch Asmongold being like, yep, we can't do anything here. We have no freedom. And he's like, that's crazy, man.
He's the ultimate like litany test, right? You can say like Asmongold for
Yeah,
the average American.
but my point is just that if Trump starts talking about how Egypt is basically Hamas,
But you know that Egypt is ready for that shit, right? Do you saw
no,
their
I
military?
don't think they are. I don't think they're ready for Trump.
I think
Well,
they're
they're
actually
superficially ready.
Oh, sure.
I think the Egyptians have been spending the past 30 years prepping for a war with Israel. I made a thread about this, or a post about this a few days ago. It kind of blew up, and everybody, the Americans were like, "Oh, what the fuck?" I said something to the effect of, "Hey, it's unclear if the U.S. can force its way into Egypt and prevent a war or end a war between Israel and Egypt." And the Americans were like, "Oh," or Americans in the chat, or Americans in the replies, were very befuddled, right? Because they had never actually, I don't know, bothered to Google what is the Egyptian military like. So for the past 30 years, the Egyptians have been preparing for war with Israel specifically. And by specifically Israel, I mean to crush the IDF and to keep the U.S. out. The IDF, by comparison, legitimately did not recognize that Egypt was preparing for war with them. When the Egyptian military built 40 bridges over the Suez Canal, not 14, 40 bridges and tunnels, so you can't even strike them all simultaneously to knock them out. They've been making enormous arms purchases that have been flying under the radar. The Israelis, for their part, they blew most of their munitions flattening Gaza because they didn't think that there were any nearby potential adversaries. They've been thinking, oh, we can just bomb Iran whenever we want. Iran's the big enemy. Hezbollah is a little enemy. Hamas is a little enemy. Even though the Egyptians have been paranoid about, I guess, what they perceive as psychotic tendencies on Israel's part. There's just a giant disconnect between what Egypt has been doing, right? They've been firming up relationships with Turkey, actually Iran also. Uh, of course, they already had ties with Saudi Arabia, and the Saudis are probably not going to throw in to a war with Israel because, again, the Saudi Arabia is very flammable, but it's just
But
not.
what about the nukes? Like Israel has nukes.
Uh, so there's actually nukes are less of the silver bullet than everybody tends to make them out to be. The Egyptians, for their part, they have probably one of, if not the largest, one of the largest stockpiles of chemical weapons in the world, including lots of long-range artillery, long-range rockets that are capable of firing them. Uh,
Holy shit!
an enormous stockpile of ballistic missiles that they've been working on with Russia, North Korea, and Iran and China. Right, these are all countries that they've been working for ballistic missile R&D with. Right, actually, I'm pretty sure North Korea, most of its design iterations for their ICBMs were filched from the Egyptians. Right, ballistic missiles are Egypt's quiet specialty, and it's the field of study that they not overclassify. It's just essentially Egypt's only real state secret. Uh, technically they're probably on par qualitatively with Russians, even though they're just not going to talk about it.
So is it like mutual destruction? Is the
Yeah, a mixture of mutually assured destruction with conventional weapons on Egypt's part, even though technically the Egyptians can develop nukes whenever they want to, or they can just borrow some nukes from their friends. But they also can tap in or leverage Saudi Arabia's connections with Pakistan that say, hey, we don't necessarily need to develop nukes ourselves. We have a partner or friend with nuclear weapons who's a few thousand miles away. We can just make a few phone calls and he can pull up, right? So Israel's nuclear deterrent and even the U.S.'s nuclear deterrent isn't necessarily a bulletproof way to prevent war between Israel and Egypt.
oh my god, this is so.
So here's my only input on this, and considering how unstable his rule is, it's not a huge point. I don't think a war could happen under Sisi. I've just not seen enough of him actually be willing to do stuff. But like, he could leave tomorrow.
That's actually
You know?
a major point, right? Sisi is like the only Egyptian general who is actually serious about maintaining peace between Israel and Egypt. Not for I don't. Egyptian officers in general, it seems, have been referring to him as a coward or a forgive the word, a pussy, right? The midget pussy. They don't they are fairly confident in their ability to overpower Israel because this is something that they've been preparing to do. Well, the IDF, by comparison, just hasn't been focusing on a high-end conventional war.
Does
So
Egypt have like any F-35?
They don't have any F-35s, but to offset their lack of capacity in terms of stealth weapons, right? You don't necessarily need stealth technology to beat stealth.
I think they have Euro, Russian, and American fighters.
Yes, and they're buying Chinese fighters now also.
So there you go. Like I was saying, that could be Saudi Arabia easily.
Yeah, the Egyptian plan is to flatten Israel's stealth fighters while they're on the ground, right? Because I think it's
Yeah,
Nevatia
surprise
base.
attack. It worked for him before, I guess.
Before there wasn't an evolution there.
Before people, but both sides claim they won that war. I just wanted to pull this up because this is like one of my favorite nuclear threats of all time. But if you replace the words here with India and Pakistan with Israel and Egypt, he says, you want to invade Pakistan, go ahead, but please remember one thing, that after the the people will forget, like, all these people, they'll only know us, because it will not be a conventional war. Pakistan may possibly suffer annihilation, but Muslims will still survive because there are several Muslim countries in the world. But remember, there is only one India, and I shall wipe out Hinduism and the Hindu religion from the face of the earth. And if you don't order complete de-escalation and demobilization before my return to Pakistan, my first word out of my mouth I will utter will be fire.
Well, Ziaul Haq, the man was incredibly smart, kind of a dick, incredibly smart.
Multiple genocides under his belt.
Yes.
So,
It's
but
fucking
that's the thing,
insane,
is if
man.
you have someone like that running Egypt who has that same mentality, there's only one Israel.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
Israel going to do? Nuke Egypt?
Yeah,
How are the other Muslim countries going to respond to that?
they're just going to erase Israel, right? That's just
Israel
I mean,
will say
Israel has fought all
New
of
York.
them at once before.
I mean, this is another thing. People in general tend to sort of superficially read into the Arab-Israeli wars. Israel did win like 2 out of 3 pretty cleanly, right? But only if you
Yeah.
tend to forget that the U.S. government kind of had to drag them back to the negotiating table, kicking and screaming, because for each of the wars, except for the first one, it saw the Soviet Union mobilizing to send a giant tank army down to Israel and to potentially crush it out of existence, to back up Egypt because they want to control Suez. So it's like there's not we tend to mistake operational and tactical prowess and capabilities with invincibility, I should say, right? The 7 foot tall, enormously ripped guy is probably an invincible boxer in every single fight that he gets into, right? Or every single boxing match he gets into. But warfare, it doesn't quite work like that, right?
But I have a gun.
Oh, it's not even I have a gun. It's, but I can just, once you kill the first guy I send at you, I can just keep sending another guy at you. And soon you'll get tired and we won't.
Yeah, it's very different, like since like the Capone War and the 6 Days War. It's very, very different, huh? Like Israel had tanks and stuff like back then, and I don't know, like what Egypt had, like basically, like maybe like the
Um, uh,
ancient tanks or something.
Soviet weapons.
the Egyptians actually had pretty quality kit, but there was the mixture of, well, poorly trained soldiers because Egyptians at the time were basically illiterate. And there weren't really military veterans in Egypt. I mean, Egyptians did participate in World War II, but not necessarily in substantial quantities. And even the Egyptian veterans who did contribute weren't necessarily running things in the Egyptian military because, that's kind of dangerous for the kingdom of Egypt. You don't want to have people who actually know what they're doing in charge of your military because they might overthrow you. Being incompetent.
Israel used to call Jamal Abdel Nasser Little Hitler in the 60s.
Yes, exactly. Because Nasser was or not. No.
In their defense, Nasser literally was like, Hitler is based.
Yeah. He invited
So
Yeah.
he did invite a bunch
Sadat
of
as
Nazis
well.
over.
But what's funny is like overnight Sadat going from Hitler to Jesus just because Reagan says so.
Man, we need another Reagan right now.
Yes.
How fucked up. Like even like Reagan, like what the fuck? I used to think that Reagan was the source of all evil, and he is.
He is.
But now it's like, man, we need evil. Like evil is better than incompetence. I think it's like evil is.
Legitimately.
I don't know.
Like like at least like kill us professionally, right? Like not like starve us to death. Like like people say the Soviet Union killed tens of millions of people, and people say like how nobody got murdered. No, it was like food, like hunger, right?
Incompetence.
People got murdered,
Oh,
just not.
Yeah, but not by tens of millions.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
actually, in the
Well, it's
millions,
actually
but
really
it's a different
difficult to
kind
do
of
that
murder.
type of direct killing. Like, that's why Zyklon B was actually just perfect for what the Nazis needed. Like,
Yeah.
and also, don't forget the Nazis said it was they were doing humane killing with Zyklon B. They had an issue
That's a
with
fucking
things
lie.
like hanging. And that's why it's funny that all of them got hung by a fucking maniac who made sure it was slow and painful.
And he was shit faced at the time. Just peak Americanism.
But yeah, so they had issues with certain types of things. So like I even think like maybe they may have been against, they probably never looked at using nerve agents for that type of thing, but the way that Zyklon B activates, it's extremely efficient for the specific use the Nazis wanted to use it for, because they're like solid pellets, and you just open the pellet can and drop it in the pipe, and then the room fills with cyanide. And cyanide is like probably the most inefficient chemical weapon. It's the deadliest, but most inefficient, because you need like it breaks down so quickly, but you need very very little of it to be completely fatal. And I think it is a blood agent as well, so it literally pulls the oxygen from your blood.
It's more humane than Mussolini, what Mussolini did, right?
I mean,
Like,
yeah,
man,
but you see
Mussolini
in like
force-fed like oil.
Serbiencia, they brought them into rooms and used machine guns on them. That's very inefficient to kill people that way.
Man, you know what Mussolini did in, I think Mauritania, was it? It was Mauritania, right?
Libya. So Cyrenaica.
Yeah, yeah. He did stuff like in Libya, but also Mauritania. Also like remember like specifically another like African state that wasn't like Middle Eastern.
Let me look it up.
It doesn't matter. But he said like he had like chemical weapons and he was,
Maybe Eritrea is what I was thinking, but
yeah, Eritrea maybe. Yeah, and it was a state that was in the council back in like before World War II happened, like
yeah,
one
I
of the
mean,
few African
have you
states.
seen Eritrea's capital? What it looks like?
Yeah, and yeah, and he made poems. Like he made like he was singing about like how chemical weapons like making flowers into like people like and people like running around when like around the bombs like chemical weapons, and that was like the flower of like the glory of Italy or something like that. Holy shit, man. Yeah, and he used to like force feed the people oil until they died of diarrhea.
That checks
Yeah,
out.
Mussolini, not a nice man, turns out. Trump quoted him.
Yeah.
But like, for people who don't know, the capital of Eritrea, it's all Italian architecture.
Man, I remember one of the Ben Shapiro guys, right? Like one of the I forgot his channels, like one of
Matt
the
Walsh.
four guys, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was like saying like, yeah, but Mussolini wasn't a bad guy. Like Hitler was bad. Like Mussolini was.
No.
Oh my
Just like
God,
empty
man.
streets with paved roads and shit. It's so wild.
And people, but man, people eat that shit up, man. How
Incredibly
fucking
clean,
stupid.
because like nobody is even there. because it's such a repressive country that doesn't even let people in. But it's like
Yeah,
this
but they have like nice trees,
partially
right?
because of Mussolini is why it's still like this. Not just the architecture. I mean, why it's a totalitarian shithole.
Yeah,
And you
because
can say that
it
about
makes
a
sense,
country
right?
that looks that nice. Wow.
Because they trusted the UN, right? They trusted the UN and they trusted the membership, and they were like saying we're against like Italy invading us, and then Italy did like that, and like the UN was like, okay, yeah, we're going to ignore it now.
Yeah. You know, that's the meme.
They
Uninvolved in
lost trust,
peace.
man. This shit like lasts for generations, man, for many
Yeah,
generations.
Eritrea will probably never be a good country to live in. Like, it won't be Eritrea anymore at that point. You know, like, entire societies will have collapsed. The United States won't even be the United States anymore. You know, the world will have been destroyed by fucking nuclear fire at this point. Then maybe Eritrea would be an okay place to live, you know? And the next civilization. They're not even humans anymore. We've evolved beyond humanity. It's not like elephants are the next ones that come up, and it's an elephant people that live there. Then it might be nice, but like I have,
Chinchilla people.
well, chinchillas are too endangered, and you know elephants are like intelligent mammals. You know, I could see
Yeah. No
elephants being
opposable
on top,
thumbs.
but they got the trunk. It's like tentacles are just as dexterity as like even better actually. So that's why I think if we're gonna see like aliens and stuff, big chance they got tentacles. So remember that, hentai nerds.
Man,
Because I mean the trunk is basically a tentacle. Am I right?
what the fuck are you talking about?
Not wrong.
Anyway, point is that I think South Sudan will be a better place to live before Eritrea is.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I mean, South Sudan is a pretty big claim to say could surpass Eritrea.
You know how long this civil war has been going on for, like
In
in
South
Sudan
Sudan?
right now? Yeah,
Oh,
like 27 years, right?
Yeah, South Sudan immediately
27
broke
years.
out in the civil war. But the issue with South Sudan is literally because of the arms being dumped into the country during the war with Sudan before it was its own state. And then immediately becoming its own state, all those leftover arms led to fucking power grabs, but also the control of the oil fields. And that's one of the things that South Sudan having oil and being considered to be like in the future East African bloc, I think has way more chance of success than Eritrea because Eritrea is so isolated from the rest of Africa. And I think when you have these, you know, big geographic coalition like OPEC, for example, you know, stuff like that matters a lot for bringing up countries and regions. And East Africa is inevitably going to have one of those things, and if they do make those deals with South Sudan, it allows all those East African states to basically circumvent the Sudanese, Eritrea, Djibouti, Somalia, all those countries that they have access because they go through Sudan's oil. If they go through South Sudan, who still have oil, and put a pipeline there, it does a lot of circumventing of how much money gets dumped into Sudan and the infrastructure that's going north towards those Arab states.
Oh, my
But that's
headset.
just my theory. A game theory.
What's the like internal economical situation in Eritrea? self-sufficient.
Yeah.
That's the thing is there's a lot of slavery and shit like that, and like forced military conscription, but it's the isolation that's the issue economically. If they weren't so fucking isolated and allowed actual like things into their country, then hey, maybe they would be able to do some more. But let me see.
Man, I'm very man. I've been ignoring Eritrea for this long. I should read it.
They want you to. That's that's the point. They're a very
It's like North
secluded,
Korea, but
closed off
Africa.
country. Yeah, a
There's
lot of
so
people
many-
say that, but I like to say it's the Eritrea of Africa.
Fair enough.
You know,
I'm
'cause,
currently on my. I'm like I know everything basically important about the Middle East, and now I'm like finishing Asia, uh, like everything about Asia, and I think maybe Africa will be next. But Africa is also like very complicated and rich, and it's going to be a pain. Like it will take like several months, like tens of books.
Yep. It'll be the same way with Latin America. North America should be pretty easy. It just
So-
yeah.
North
yeah,
America is
just
also
imagine-
like. Just imagine what.
they do around average 500 million USD of exports, but they're every year that we have data for, their imports are higher than their exports, so they're importing more than they're exporting already, which
Okay.
isn't
That's nice.
necessarily a bad thing. I mean, look at America. We're a rich import country,
Yeah,
but
that only works when you.
they also have tariffs on them
Oh,
because they're a
Oh.
totalitarian regime.
Yeah, they can starve their people all they want, but Americans will not tolerate that, right?
Yeah, so they mainly sell to China. China's like 53% of their exports, and I guess they sell fruit to China.
James, what did you want to say? Like, imagine Latin America.
oh yeah, yeah. Latin America, like Africa, they have a bunch of vibrant histories. They sound outwardly they sound similar. Inwardly, they are as different as every country is, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like I've given up like generalization and stereotypes. It's like basically it's you just have to fucking read it, you know? It's like
Exactly.
because I'm preparing for this position, right? I told you like
With the Blink firm.
yeah, it's like and man, you have to like be an expert in lots of this bullshit.
Oh, you know what? Ethiopia could annex Eritrea, and if
That would
that
actually
happened,
work.
it would be a nice place to live.
Relatively. It depends on
Yeah.
what the
So when Erflaki
Yeah.
dies and stuff, we'll see what happens, and then maybe we can thank Obama for that.
possibly, yeah. As long as whoever what's his name, the current president of Ethiopia was kind of a dick.
Yeah, Abiy.
Abiy.
Yeah, he's not a good guy. Neither country
Abiy
is
Ahmed,
very
sorry.
good guys running it, but Erflaki is.
Substantially worse.
But
Substantially.
what countries are they bordering like beside Ethiopia?
Djibouti,
and
Somalia.
Somaliland. Somalia or Somaliland, both of them, technically.
Hmm.
Man, they're very close to the
And then Sudan on the other side. But yeah, they need to go through Djibouti to get access to the fucking.
Red Sea
Sea.
and I was at the Mediterranean. The Indian Ocean, technically? Is the Indian Ocean
Yeah.
Pacific?
greatest
Are they
trade
on
route
the
in
ocean?
history.
Wait, what's the question?
Ocean. Do they have like pathway to ocean or?
No,
Yeah,
no, they're landlocked.
Eritrea does.
They have to.
Ethiopia is landlocked.
Oh, Eritrea does reach the ocean. That's right. It
Yeah, it's a
does in the
coastal
north.
state.
Okay. Man, how many millions are there? Like 5, 6, right?
Yeah, wait, in Eritrea, it's like
Oh, Eritrea has complete access to the ocean.
Eritrea is
I was
tiny as
thinking.
shit. It's like
Yeah,
it's
I was
overwhelmingly
thinking.
young, but
I was
also
thinking that the map was a little different and it cut in different. But yeah,
3.5 to 6 million. We have to use an estimate because, well, it's not like
we don't
Eritrea is-
know.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally,
Yeah, basically
it's
it's
the
like 5,
country
6.
without journalists.
Man, I used to know like somebody from Eritrea, but he was like very sophisticated, intellectual, and
Culturally,
very
it's the same country as Ethiopia.
yeah. But he was a refugee in Europe, so basically he's like
That's normally what happens with Eritrea. Like, it's just like North Korea. It's like if you can get out. But that's why it's different than North Korea to me, because there's like so much access. How many, how much goods sail by that country every day in comparison to North Korea, It's right there. People could really go in if they wanted to. And that's what I think Vice, like over a decade ago, they fucking got journalists into Eritrea where they basically like ran over the border to get in. And
okay.
it was a
So they're
big
not.
Vice thing where it's like we're the first Western journalists in this country in like decades.
What's I think they're Muslims, right? Or Christians or something?
I
Christian.
think they must.
Yeah, because of Italy.
Yeah.
They're Christian because of Italy and Mussolini.
Yeah, but there is like a Muslim minority, right?
Maybe.
It's like
In Ethiopia, yes, but Eritrea, I
It's
don't
a
even know if
50-50.
they have religion at this point.
Eritrea is like the country that circumcises their females, right?
I think there's a lot of countries.
No, but that's basically kind of a thing of the past in most of the countries that did it. But it is part of that region. So
Okay, okay.
they have, it's hard to say how much genital mutilation still goes on in a country like that.
Yeah, it's like specifically destructive for the for girls because like circumcision to males, like you can still like use your like it's very common, right?
In the
But
Red Sea region, there's more Muslims
for the
than,
female, like she loses all the like ability to for pleasure and stuff like that.
yeah, Somalia. It also happens, but it's an issue in the region. So it's according to this, it's gotten more Muslim in recent years.
Okay. Pew Research.
Hmm.
Trump is still like suing Pew, right? Or was it another? No, it was
The
Pennsylvania.
Associated Press.
Oh, he's not suing them. He just banned them from the press briefing because they won't say Gulf of America. It's in their style guide. Then it like
Oh
telling the
my God.
Associated Press of all press agencies that they shouldn't be somewhere is just so wild.
Dude, I saw some liberals blaming like Trump winning on Gaza like just the
Hmm.
last 2 days, right? And I
Yep.
can't fucking believe that they're still fucking doing that. Like how fucking pathetic is this? Like fucking country is turning into dictatorship, and you're still fucking on that bullshit.
Honestly, it's pretty infantile. Uh,
Yeah.
actually, I'm not sure what's worse: the fact that like even young Republicans are okay. It's, I should caveat this by noting that a sizable proportion of them are just flagrantly anti-Semitic, so that's why they're anti-Israel and pro-Gaza.
Yeah.
This like, but like it just increasing percentages on both parties, right? Some are opposed to Israel because of tangible politics. The American right tends to be the American left is opposed to Israel because of tangible political reasons. The American right is opposed to Israel for the you know the ones.
Yes, my brother.
It's the
Dude,
increasing trend in that direction.
James, I'm going to talk to you maybe tomorrow or something. I'm going to ask for like specific books to read on certain topics.
Bet.
Okay. Anything else we want to get into today? We've been going 2 hours now.
No. Dude, read this book, okay? Don't forget to read this book.
Oh yeah, I downloaded
And,
it.
Oh, that reminds me. I do want to talk about one thing to come back to.
I want to show you a
Something
picture.
real
Like,
quick.
it's fucking hilarious.
Says readout of call says Putin congratulated Shar on taking the presidency. Deep strategic relationship between both countries. Putin said he is ready to revisit agreements signed between Moscow and the previous regime, as per readout.
Yeah.
Putin also invited the Syrian foreign minister to Moscow.
That I hate. This hasn't been. I haven't said it yet today, but this is one of Siraj's handiwork. Oh Jesus! Wait, that's Trump. Who's the other orange dude?
Dude, they've been friends with each other since the remember the this casino, like the Taj Mahal was Russian sponsored. Donald Trump with Tivik Arif and Felix Sater.
So to tease next week, I think there'll be more developments between Syria and Russia, which will be very interesting considering
The tumultuous history.
Yes. But he also could Ayatollah him. Just how the Ayatollah was acting friendly with America to get into power, and then instantly it was like, fuck you! We're outie.
That would be incredibly funny.
You know what's the most hilarious thing? The Hafiz Bashar al-Assad, the son of Bashar al-Assad.
Mosque. Yeah.
Maybe you saw it, right? He's supporting the revolution. He was saying like,
wait,
I didn't
what?
know my father was doing this bullshit.
Jesus.
Yeah, he posted the flag like of the civil of the Syrian
It's like
revolution.
how one of like Bin Laden's granddaughters is a Trump supporter. And she was in the boat accident where all the Trump boats sank.
Oh, dude, she was there?
Yeah.
All right.
It makes sense. It makes sense because like you want to be identified and like with your father, like who's basically like one of the 21st century's biggest genocide murderers.
Yes,
You
want
to live your life.
In Bin Laden's case, best terrorist of all time.
Oh God.
James like, no, he's not. He's not the best of all time. He's not the GOAT. Look,
that's the other guy.
Yeah, scoreboard. Scoreboard.
That's fucking. Yeah, no. The funniest thing is like it is his right, because he's like very young, right? The kid, like Bashar Assad, the son, and he is a kid, right? So he should like be able to live his life freely and you know. But Syrian people are extremely mad. They really want to get to him because I've read comments saying like, yeah, maybe he's innocent, but like, weren't the children of the Syrian people also innocent?
Yeah, it's very true and fair. I'm wondering, it might turn out like Saif Gaddafi, right? How Libyans
Oh,
fucking hated Gaddafi, but Saif Gaddafi is essentially chill, so chill to the point where he had a serious shot as a presidential
Yeah,
run.
I was saying that the UN shouldn't have pushed him out. Even
Yeah,
even people who I talked to from Libya who don't like him agree that that was not, it undermined their democracy further.
so it's
yeah.
it's actually it's something I admire. It's very much along. What's the biblical quote that this the sins of the father don't transfer to the son?
Mm. But
Yeah,
except he participated
Yes, I
in
did. Yeah.
fucking ethnic cleansing. You know, but are you gonna tell your dad Gaddafi no? Like he's no fucking, Uday.
Yeah, Uday was over. Yeah.
So I think that, I mean, if fucking Jelani can run Syria, I don't see why Gaddafi's son couldn't run Libya, and potentially he could be a unifying factor in Libya and pull the two sides together and finally end the civil conflict. That and that's why I was a big proponent and supported him running, is because I strongly believed if he won, it would actually be beneficial to ending conflict in Libya.
Yeah, that's a solid point. I supported Saif because well,
what the
Saif
fuck are
is
you? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, do you want him like to go on, like, and make a speech and like say like this is the green book and tear the green book in front of the people and like
That would be
become the
fucking
president?
hilarious.
actually it's the funniest thing ever is not necessarily the funniest thing ever. You know how Muammar had the whole Israeltine thing, right? Israel Palestine joint state togetherism, right? Come on, you guys can be a
Oh my
single
God.
state. That was actually Saif's idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saif is the big softy who's both smart and capable of brutality. Which is probably the ideal for a presidency, right? You don't want a president who's just reflexively brutal, but you also want one who's smart. So it's I don't know.
So
Yeah, I understand.
I don't think it was, win or lose. I don't think it was smart to limit him from the elections and then delay the elections as well, like in Libya. Like I'm sure there's many people who would be very angry with me saying just give the people the democracy and let them fucking vote, because it's like, you know,
It's
I
their
don't think
can't
he's
country.
guarantee
viable.
election security.
I,
Tucker Carlson says the same thing about Ukraine, but we know he's an idiot
I
there.
Yeah.
maybe you're right that he's softy and better alternative than his father, but uh, Middle Eastern people are very not. They're not. They don't like when brothers and sons take power. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like even if it's going to be shit. But what does it mean? Like, yeah, okay, you're going to be different from your father. What does it? Basically, it's like when Hillary tried to be president. Like, what the fuck are you like? What are you making a bet with your husband? Like, yeah, it's my turn now to be president. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, right? Like, what the fuck is happening? Yeah, okay, like let the woman be president, but not fucking this bitch. Okay, it's like her husband was president. Like, what the fuck is this? Make a Wish Foundation.
If Joe Biden won re-election, because like I don't remember who it was, but I think Roosevelt or something, Ford or Eisenhower, I think it was, he said that the way a woman would become president in the United States is if she's vice president and the president died. And he said he thinks that
Oh
would be
yeah.
the most likely scenario about it. And you can look at it as sexist at the time, but like if it wasn't for COVID, guess what would have happened? I mean, we'll see. If Joe Biden doesn't die in 4 years, you have 2 years. Okay? And if after 2 years you pass away, then we'll
Technically,
see.
she was the president for 1 hour, right? During the operation.
Well, some would
Yeah,
say she was the president
the whole time.
for the whole thing, because Biden,
little bit senile.
according to some of these reports that are coming out, needed a lot of nappies. It's not that he was ineffective, but probably could have been run better because he was
Man,
extremely effective.
How long do you think it will take, like, until we understand the like what exactly happened in Biden's administration? Like, until an insider writes a book about like everything.
I mean,
I give it a year.
look at how much we know about Trump. There's so many people, and as soon as he burns somebody, they write a book. So
Yeah. I'm waiting for the book that's going to talk about what's happening right now, right? Man, books in 5 years will be so fucking fun.
True.
This is how
I
the
mean, I
world
was getting
this
sick of the
starts.
Trump books. Everyone was fucking writing and fucking doing interviews on.
Yeah.
Like we didn't
Have you
see you
read
fucking kissing his ring. Like we know you're a
Yeah.
jilted ex.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and most of the books were shallow also.
ghost written as well.
Into the Wilderness. Into the Wilderness is a good book.
Okay. I press
Okay,
end now.
guys. Have a good one. I'm going to go eat dinner.
Peace
Have a nice
out.
dinner.
It's crazy. Alan's been in a jungle this whole time.
This is the poster of the wall.
What?
You've been in a jungle the whole time.
Oh,
Doesn't it look
this
like
is
a
not a
like
jungle.
a
This
real
is a
background
wood.
though? You know, just the
Dude,
quality of the camera makes it look like he's literally like outside, and like just like there's one wall left that he's in front of, and he's framed it badly.
dude, a month ago I was high on mushrooms, right? And I looked at this nature's picture, and I was extremely disappointed. I was extremely high, right, on psilocybin, and my impression was this is a fake abstract of the true beauty of nature. I should go outside and see the beauty.